Hey, real estate fans. I am here today with my friend Google, to talk a little bit about the rental market statistics. How do you find a vacancy rate? How do you know what's going on in your rental market in Quebec today? So, we're just going to go through some real quick data sources that you can use. So, the first and the best one will be the CMHC. So, that's the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. And once a year, the CMHC comes out with their rental market report. Okay, so here we are on the CMHC website, and I'm going to just show you how to navigate to find the most recent rental report. And in here, I have my rental market report. So this goes through, you can download this. This report comes out in January once a year, and it looks at city-specific market trends as well as the national rental landscape. So if you do not already read this, please make sure, go ahead, that you are checking this out. The next data set that I find really interesting is rentals.ca. Rentals.ca is a Canada-wide site that has data on apartment listings. So while the CMHC rental report is actually looking at all apartments, whether or not they are vacant, the rentals.ca rent report looks at the month over month, what's happening in the rental market in different urban centers. So this will give you kind of a national ranking. And then if you want to get more granular, you can go, for example, and look at some of the data for Montreal just by scrolling down and then finding the urban center that you are interested in looking at. So for example, here we could see what the trend is with Montreal rentals. Now, the weakness of this data set is that it is really looking at apartments that are for rent. So it's not necessarily super accurate in terms of the pricing, because if you're looking at markets that are for rent, and the rentals.ca market in Montreal is kind of higher end, because typically most of the average or lower end units are advertised on Facebook, whereas rentals.ca skews high. So the rental data, well, the trend information might be good and the vacancy rate might be good. Ultimately, as far as price goes, it skews about $500 high. So that's kind of a good thing to know. The next interesting thing is to look at Centris, and they also have rental market data. So here on Centris, I will find some data for the average rent for Montreal apartments in 2024. So this can also give you an interactive map. I find this very interesting because here we can sort of check the average square footage, the average rent of what is advertised on Centris across the island. Now, some of this is a little bit off because, again, people are listing with realtors units that are kind of more at the top end of the rental spectrum. So this will skew high, but the overall trends also as far as rent growth, specific boroughs where rent is either trending up or down, that data is relevant. And so it means that even though this data set is a little bit skewed, this is definitely somewhere you can look for interesting trends. So just to sort of recap the rental market data in real time that you can look at. If you're not reading the CMHC rental market report, you need to be. The other alternatives are rentals.ca and Centris, which regularly reports on rental market trends. However, those data sets are going to be skewing high and they only look at vacant units. The good thing about it is that it's more up to date because for example, rentals.ca has a rent report that comes out every month. So good researching to you and making more informed decisions when you go about renting your units.